In this video, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about an auto loan contract, how it was totally violating the rights of the individual who purchased a car from a car dealer. We're going to talk about a settlement slash no settlement, where we were in negotiations with a settlement and the agent on the phone said something to where the person did not have to pay a $6,500 debt at all. Zero. Going to tell you about what happened with that. And also great news. Case 1 dismissed against Discover Card. A client wins case against Discover Card. I'm going to talk about how that happened also. So now that's opening up the door for some stuff to happen with original creditors who are trying to sue for old debts. Now, first of all, I wanna say something real quick. I'm glad that all of my children are grown, because really the time that I put towards trying to help people out with the videos, my wife gives me the time. You know, I tell her, hey, just let me do my work time. I come home, I'm done. Too many people need help. Too many people need help. And I think I've said this before, but I've never in my whole business career, except for once, so I won't say I've never, I will say I got one award the whole time, 30, going on 35 years, I got one award. And the place that gave me the award, it's, y'all would bust out laughing. But they meant it. It wasn't a joke. They meant it. It was this, you know how they be having these players balls and all that stuff. Now, I've never been involved in none of that type of stuff, but with one of my companies, I always supported them with because they actually have a players ball for charity for getting school supplies for the kids. And when they would come through to the businesses, I'm like, here. And I'm like, here, I'm just going to give you cash because I don't even want you to have any type of fees attached to it. I want all, and they gave 100%. I'm telling you, this players ball, when they do their next flyer, I'm going to give you, I'm going to let you see this. They give 100% of the money that comes through, 100% goes to the children, 100%. And also their players ball is not like crazy type stuff. It's just where people dress up and go to them. But they did give me an award. They gave me an award. But other than that, I've never received any awards for business. None. Like zero. And but this is the thing though, is that I've said this before, I do get awards. I do get awards. And I'm about these three things that I'm about to talk about is my reward. It's like my trophy. Like I put that up right up in the air, the victory sign, all of that stuff. It is my reward. And it's just it's better than just getting something that I could just slap on my desk. What I'm about to tell you about with this auto contract, and this one is going to be something that's going to have a part 2 and 3 and probably 4 and 5 to it. But I'm going to tell you what's going on with it right now. And then with the settlement, no settlement, when I tell you what happened with this, you're going to be like, man, it's crazy. And then Discover Card, losing a case. They had an attorney in court. I'm going to tell you how that case was lost. And but before we get to that, is I understand, like, I make the videos for you because I understand that debt could be piling up, that you could be under a lot of stress. You don't know what to do. You want to get answers. You're like, hey, I make my videos as if you were sitting right across from me at my office, and I'm like, hey, we got to try to look at your situation and try to figure out a plan. And part of that plan is how you feel like as an individual with what you would like to do. Because it's not always about some company trying to dictate. We don't dictate to people how we do stuff. We do our processes a certain way, but that's your choice to work with us. We're just telling you our process. And some people might say, well, you're dictating. It's not dictating if you're giving an individual the opportunity where you're not trying to trap them and say, we're the only place that you can go to. because that's not how we are. We're not that type of company. And so let's get right into it. The first one, get your thinking caps on. Get your thinking caps on. Get your pen and pencil out. Let me, one more thing before I get to it. I apologize. One more thing before I get to it. The algorithm is not working in my favor because of what I do. I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact. If you look at what's prevalent on YouTube on what gets the views, yes, people are interested in it, but there still are people who write the algorithm. And for solutions, for real solutions, which is what I'm about, real solutions. I don't make videos just to be making videos. I just don't do that. I make stuff so you can take it, utilize it, get relief, get solutions, get resolutions, so you can move forward without frustration in your life. So if you can right now, like this video, but I can just tell you the algorithm is just not written for me, but that does not stop me. So we're going to keep moving forward how we move forward. So now the first one, let me get my notes up here. This is crazy. This is just flat out crazy. A gentleman came to us, was like, watch one of my videos about the auto contracts. Like some of these contracts are straight up predatory. Like I'm talking about just flat out predatory. Some of the companies have been sued. That's widely known. But some of the same issues are prevalent with other auto lenders and dealers. But because it hasn't reached a certain level of complaints, there's really no relief other than if you decide to sue them yourself. So let me go over some of the things that I found in this when I did the review. This is not legal or accounting advice. I'm not an attorney. I want to give that up front so people won't think that this is legal advice or that I'm telling people to do things. I'm just going to tell you what I saw. And everything that I tell you, everything, you better bet your bottom line on it, your bottom dollar on it, but don't put any bets. I don't want to get in no trouble about that. Not about gambling. I'm just telling you, the stuff that I do is real. I see people in my office or talk to people over the phone when I get to talk to them, or my customer services talk to them. Bottom line, this is from experience. It's not where we're just guessing. It's from experience. And I believe that that's very important when you're dealing with stuff, because when you see stuff once and then you see something over and over and over again, something that's repeated, you start to understand what's going on and how to give people relief, some options. So let me tell you what I saw with this auto loan. One of the first things that I saw is that they forced the individual to have this Lowjack system on there. Now that's fine and dandy, but they should not force you to pay for the Lowjack. Let me tell you the reason why they shouldn't force you to pay for Lowjack is because they could tell you if you can have the car or not. So can I get the loan without the Lowjack? If that's yes, then we don't need a Lowjack on there. If I can't get the loan with the Lowjack, then that's my choice, and I can understand. And if you got to pass on the fees to me, that's what you got to do. But here's the crazy thing about it is that I don't believe that this individual they wouldn't have got the loan without the Lowjack. Let me tell you the reason why. Because the loan came from a bank, and the loan was for over $70,000. So I don't care who, what, where. If they're going to give a person over 70 grand for an auto loan, that means that individual would have qualified without having a Lowjack system placed on that vehicle. So number one, still they have to disclose if they would have gave the loan with it or without it. They can't just say, this is what's going to happen, this is what you got to do. If they say that, then it's that you can turn around and say, well, does that mean I wouldn't get the loan without it? Next thing, that we got here is the vehicle service contract. Can you believe that this dealer did over $2,200 for a vehicle service contract? Let me tell you something. With a vehicle service contract, for them filling out all of this stuff, they're going to do $2,200. And there's a story behind why it ended up being the exact amount of $2,200. I'm not going to mention the exact amount, but there's a reason why it ended up being that amount. I'm going to get to that at the end of this when I finish talking about it. The next thing is that I did not see disclosures of the dealer service fees. They had dealer service fees, but there was no breakdown of what these fees were for. They cannot do that, but they do it and get away with it because no one calls them on it. They also made the gentleman pay for additional warranties on the vehicle. And when I looked at the contract, there was already warranties on the vehicle. So it's like they did two different contracts on the vehicle. The second one, what they did is try to do stuff on bodily type stuff on a warranty. You got car insurance for this stuff. You don't need it for that. So I believe that he was misled in the way that they described it. This happened to me with my RV. It was like, you can get this paint protection type deal. You don't want to have to redo the paint. Well, maybe I will have to redo the paint. Well, you want to get it for the tires and stuff. Well, I could afford to buy the tires. I don't need to worry about that. And and then the interest rate, they were offering me a certain interest rate, and I said I think I should get a better interest rate. The guy turned around and said, "Do we got a coupon to get a cheaper interest rate?" And the guy came over there with a coupon. Like, do they think that I'm stupid? Came over there with a coupon and said we're going to give him even a lower interest rate than we already gave. This is the games that these dealers do play. So you got to be careful. They do play these types of games. Now, the other part about this is that the finance company, which is a bank, Navy Fed, approved the individual for the auto loan, and they approved it for $75,000. $75,000. So, you want to hear something that's funny, crazy, that'll blow your mind? Guess how much, after all of the dealer fees, after all of the stuff that they tacked on, after all of the BS stuff that they threw on top of the car and wrote out the contract, which is right here in my hand. This contract, when they finish all of the fluff and stuff into it, guess how much the total amount that he would have to pay would be? Any guesses? Any guesses? How much? Tell how much you think. How much you think? The Navy Fed approved him for $75,000. So how much do you think after they added up all of this stuff? I can't make this stuff up. I cannot make this up. After they added up everything, how much? How much you think? How much you think? How much you think? Come on, everybody, throw some numbers out at me. Put them in the comments box. How much you think? $75,000. Have you ever seen any contract for a car that came out with $75,000, 75000.00? Are these people so you telling me with the tax and everything, like this is a 1 in a million shot. This is a lottery loan right here. This is a lottery loan right here. That's what that one is, a lottery loan. So the remedy for this individual would be to contact the two things you can do. You have two choices if you find yourself in this type of situation. You got documentation. You can just approach the dealer and say, I believe that this is a BS, what you did to me, and you can demand a remedy. And in some cases, which is what happened in Santander, is you could just get the vehicle. They give you a clear title. And they potentially have insurance against that. You could take them to court over your demands on what you have documented, and you could potentially win the case. Or you could potentially get a relief before it goes, because they don't want to have this go public. So that's option number one. And you do that by sending a demand letter, and you point out all of the issues that you see in the contract, and topping it off at the bottom, I feel that I was a victim of predatory lending or a predatory loan, because they arranged the loan and passed it through to the bank. Second thing, you can send a copy of that same letter to the finance company that financed it for the dealership. Dealership don't want that because they don't want to lose their privileges to be able to take loans from that company. So you got two things right there that could potentially get the whole thing taken care of without going to court, and potentially you end up keeping the vehicle. If you don't have the vehicle, say it got repossessed, you're trying to go through the deal on resolving it, this could get that deficiency balance wiped away right there. Second, the next step, if you take it further, you have to get an attorney in your area. Make sure that they are a consumer attorney. They go through all of this. They see it your way, because they're going to have to fight. You know, some of the time, attorneys are great, but some of the time you got to you got to walk it up to them. I was on the line the other day. One of my employees got hurt in a car accident, and got hit from behind. Customer service rep got hit from behind, and I went to the scene. He was okay. Car spun around, but he was on the phone with an attorney, and I was kind of shocked at the process that they went through for him being able to utilize their services, because to me it felt like he was doing all the work for him. Like he was literally doing all the work for him. And I guess what they're going to do is call and negotiate, which I've done. And I'm not saying nothing bad about it. I'm just saying that some stuff you might have to kind of give them a little push, unless they're in the business of doing consumer work. You might have to give them a little push to have them see it your way. And you might have to make sure that they're not any way connected with any of these big companies, because they're going to only deal with you once, but they want to be able to get retainers and do work for people. And when they're attached to one company and that company is doing work with another company, you'll be surprised on where they'll say, we can't take your case. That's why it happens a lot with consumer stuff, is because they want to make sure that they're able to work with any firm that either wants to send them contract work or that they want to sign up with. That's just the way it is. But you get a consumer attorney and you can sue them, and they'll do a step up with a demand letter, giving them the opportunity. They know that you're serious because you got an attorney that's working on your behalf, and maybe you can get some type of settlement or resolution. Third is you just got to go to court, and you could do it yourself, or you can hire an attorney to get everything ready and do it. The risk to it is that you're going to mainly have to pay your attorney up front. Not to say that you shouldn't do that it's not worth doing it, but just make sure that you have all your ducks in a row on what you would have as your claim against them, because that's what it's going to come down to. All right, let's move on to the next one. Settlement, no settlement. Settlement, no settlement. Settlement, no settlement. Okay, what happened with settlement, no settlement is we were working for a client, negotiating settlement, $6,500 and some change. We always still do, regardless, a full debt validation and phone conversation with the rep. And remember, I told you about the mini Miranda warnings that they have to give out. In this mini Miranda warning, they stated that there is no legal remedy for them to collect on the debt. When you hear the buzzword, there's no legal remedy for them to be able to collect on the debt, what does that mean? Raise your hand. I know it's the end of the day, you might be tired, but what do I tell you that means? When you hear that there's no legal remedy for being able to collect on the debt, what does that mean? It means that the debt is past the legal statute of limitations to collect. But you might be saying, well, Steve, why didn't you know that at the beginning? Didn't know that at the beginning because they actually put the information on the individual's credit report inaccurately from the get-go. They did what's called a reset of the debt on the timetable on the credit reports, which if you do not have the information from the original creditor, you may not know. That's why it's important to get the correct credit reports, get get the accurate credit reports, and get the furnisher's information, because then when you submit to the furnisher, you can find out, oh, this debt was charged off 5-6 years ago. It's past the legal statute of limitations to even collect. Negotiations, they ended up coming from $6,500. They offered him, before he came to us, $3,700. We got them down on the first time to $2,500, but we still do the work that I told you about with the verification validation. And when we did that with the rep that was in charge of that account, they came out and said the warning about that there is no legal remedy for them to be able to pay the debt. And I'm telling you, this can go over a lot of people's heads when they say it, because it doesn't sound like they're telling you you don't have to pay the debt. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like they're doing you a favor. It doesn't sound like you don't have to pay the debt. So right away, $6,500 slashed. Sent the notification letter to the debt collection attorney. Debt is gone. All right, number 3, Discover Card attorney who represents Discover Card loses case. How did they lose the case? They did not bring the original contract with the signature. Remember what I've said in previous videos. I stated that if you're being sued by an original creditor, even though they're going to have, more than likely, they're going to have all of the information, but you might as well, because it's your rights of due process, you might as well make them go through all of the debt validation verification for that attorney that is managing that is hired for or retained by the original creditor. You might as well make them go through it. You should make them go through it. And most of the time they will get all of the information, but some of the times, because remember, when the plaintiff attorney, they can't just take the word of their client. They have to get documentation, because they're going to be in the courtroom saying that this stuff is true in front of a judge. So what you should do is you should always do a debt validation. Well, you do your response to the court, but you also put within there the contract, original contract, all of that stuff. There's more stuff, but this one here was solely one on the contract. Some of the times that's not good enough. They might accept a digital contract, and then you got to make sure that you have it where they prove the whole claimed amount. So, but this one here, attorney was not able to get the information from their client, which is Discover Card, was not able to get the information, and that happens some of the times. And so they ended up dismissing the case. So, all right, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch video what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. You need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. You have debt collectors coming after you early in the game. Grab my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations letter, debt validation letter, cease and desist collection activities letter. If you have debt collectors trying to sue you in court, there's a link below for that service also. Thank you for your time. Post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.